Welcome to Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Corey Mosley. As always, thanks for tuning in. We've got another great show planned for you, which includes my exclusive interview with Rico Glover, Chief Digital Officer of Bryant Honda in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Let's get started. Disruption, creative marketing, thinking outside the box, blowing up the box. These are all the things we all hope to aspire to when we're running our promotions or really trying to just break through the mold and gain a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So I chose today to invite somebody to the show who's clearly doing that and maybe a little bit more. Mr. Rico Glover is the Chief Digital Officer of Bryant Honda down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Rico, thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you for inviting me, Corey. I appreciate that.
So you've developed a bit of a reputation. We talked a little bit about it before we came on for doing some things differently, for forgetting the box even existed. Talk to me a little bit about kind of your approach to that, and from a dealer perspective, why? Because I think you're challenged with a lot of. I think fortunately for you, you have a very progressive dealership that's willing to try things and do things, right? And
Exactly.
I deal with this a lot of times in our consultancy where we want to go in a direction and it's not familiar and they just don't want to break through. Why do you find it's very difficult for a lot of dealers to really get outside the box and share with us a little bit about that?
Well, I think the number one thing is fear. That's the key thing, just fear. We're so used to doing the same things. And even though we may not know if it's going to work, something new would work, and we know something that we're currently doing doesn't work, we just want to stick with the same old thing. And that's what I found. And I'm actually blessed that I have a team. As a matter of fact, right before we jumped on, one of the owners, Eason Bryan, Tim Roussel, our general manager, our BDC, and our F&I manager, we were in a conference and we were going over a new product that no one is using right now, especially at a Honda dealership, where we're going to be able to take deposits automatically with our CRM system, take the vehicle completely out of the system, and then be able to put it on hold. And the reason why I mention that is you've got to have the leadership in place that is willing to do things that other folks aren't doing. So I think that, like I said, the key thing is just fear. People just get stuck in doing the same old thing.
Now it's funny because one of my tenets is this idea of dealers having the itis. And,
Yes.
when we think of itis, we think of medical conditions, right? Bursitis, bronchitis, but I call it who else-itis. They look at something, they look at an idea they haven't heard before, and the determining factor is who else is doing it.
Exactly.
Right, and if they don't hear somebody they know, or somebody was on the magazine or something like that, then they don't do it. But I think it's always interesting because we hear about the leaders, and I don't remember the Gandhi quote about first they mock you and then they follow you, but I always think about that. Now I know for you. You've taken a little bit of a different path in terms of really getting an education. There's some outside industry people, the Ryan Dices of the world, digital marketer certifications, HubSpot, things that a lot of people don't know about in our industry. I'm actually, you'll appreciate this, I'm actually speaking at Inbound this year in Boston.
Wow, strong.
Yeah, so pretty excited about that. But you say HubSpot, or you say some of these Infusionsoft, or some of these different things, people don't quite know what you're talking about in this industry. Why do you think there's not enough of an investment or more of an investment in true digital? You're the first chief digital officer of a dealership that I know by title. So why do you think there's not as much investment in really getting that education and that certification, not Google AdWords certified, but really getting that education to know the craft, to be in a position to try new things?
Well, you got to put yourself in if this is being listened to or watched by an owner or a GM, you've got to put your dealership in place where you get the people in place that will take you to the place you want to go to. Old saying that a millionaire once taught me was, if you're trying to go to a goal, you got to change the people you're around, or you got to change the people you're around. And what he meant by that is, if you have a destination, you either got to get those folks trained so they'll be able to execute that particular thing, or if they don't want to or can't be trained, then you need to change those people and bring some new folks in. So what we've done here, and like I said, I keep saying this, my general manager, Tim Roussel, when I first came to the dealership, I was a Google AdWords partner, and I came in and pitched them on digital marketing. This was 4.5 years ago. And this to show you the mindset.
You got
'Cause it
closed,
all
by the way.
starts-
You got closed. Right, go ahead.
Yes, yes. So I'm sitting there with Tim Roussel in his office, and he had only been here for a month. Now imagine this, new GM coming to a dealership. We're the oldest Honda dealership in North Carolina. Their CRM system consisted of a piece of paper that people would go up to, the salespeople would write on there, the desk log. That was their CRM system.
Right.
So he's having to go to the owners of the oldest Honda dealership in North Carolina and tell them, look, we're going to make a position available for this guy, and he's going to do Google AdWords. Now, remind you, at that time, they had 30 Facebook friends on the Brown Honda site.
Right.
No digital marketing, no Google AdWords or anything of that nature. So it was actually, once again, the leadership at that time, seeing that in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, how impressive digital marketing would be needed to actually sell vehicles.
So let me ask you a question. So let's go to the next kind of level there. Talk to me about what are some of the ways that you've seen the business grow since really embracing the digital strategy, even some of the unconventional things. How have you seen the business grow, and what's the wildest thing you guys have done that maybe even you were like surprised, like, man, we actually sold some cars with this?
The Beat the Heat sale.
Okay.
We did a campaign. It was completely on Facebook. Started about 6 a.m. All ads were run on Facebook, no traditional marketing or anything of that nature. Started selling cars at 6:15 a.m.
Wow.
6:15 a.m. By the end of the day, we had, I think, 27 or 28 vehicles that were sold. Complete marketing, completely on Facebook. No other traditional marketing. We did email blasts and things of that nature, but once again, everyone that came in, and actually I took the email list and dumped it into Facebook and marketed them on Facebook. So non-traditional stuff. And after that, we actually, I think everyone kind of saw that, hey, maybe this will, and this was 2.5 years ago.
Right.
I think people really started seeing that this was the key. And to talk about something you just mentioned, you mentioned about training. Working with other companies like the Ryan Dice of digital marketing and working with HubSpot, they know that this stuff changes, not 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. It changes sometimes on a weekly basis. And that's the other problem with so many dealerships. They actually use stuff from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and they get stuck.
Set it in. It's set it and forget it. It's the set it and forget it Ron Popeil mentality, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So how have you seen the numbers grow? You talked about having 30 Facebook friends 4 years ago. How have you seen that change?
We're right up to over 14,000 fans right now, but like I teach when I train and everything of that nature, it's not the page or the likes, it's your engagement. One thing that I was taught about 2.5 years ago when I was at an event and got booed at, it was a automotive industry event, and I was pitching to them, stop putting just ads on there, stop putting 0%, stop putting your car on there, stop doing that, engage with them. Put videos, like I put a video when, you probably remember this video, when there was a car dealership and it was the pizza man. And they actually just berated the pizza man. Well, that video got millions of views.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I posted that on our Facebook page, and in a car marketing seminar, I had folks stand up and basically tell me you shouldn't do that. And I'm thinking, I said, once again, I'm not creating the page for us. I'm creating the page for engagement for our customers. Because if you can create, and a perfect example of this is Starbucks. When I'm creating campaigns, I think not like a car dealership, but I think like successful businesses. If you go to Starbucks, people do not pay $5, $6 for a cup of coffee from Starbucks.
Right.
They pay for the experience of going into a Starbucks, and then they also pay for the logo so they can show folks that they went to a Starbucks. If you can create an experience, that's the key.
All right, so I ask all my guests this question. I ask them all to get out their little crystal ball. If you got out your crystal ball right now, and what predictions are you going to go on record with now? Because we talked about an industry that moves really fast, especially in your field, right, of digital. What are the predictions you'll make for digital retail, the automotive industry, over the next 24 months?
It's already starting, but what is going to happen is, I call it O2O, and it's already starting online to offline. And what I mean by that, a perfect example, you can look at Amazon.com. Amazon.com actually killed the book industry, and now they're opening up bookstores. You can look at Walmart, who Walmart was a retail distribution, or actually a retail store that has now purchased like companies like Jet.com for $3 billion, $4 billion that are actually online. So what's getting ready to happen, not getting ready to happen, but what's going to happen right now, and if dealerships don't understand it, you're going to be hurt. You've got to have the online and you've got to have the offline. One of the things that we just started pitching and has worked well is a product called Hondas from Home, in which we have our Facebook Messenger bot. And I've already gotten, like, in 3 months, over 20,000 conversations where customers have gone online to our Facebook Messenger bot, viewed inventory, scheduled appointments, set appointments for the shop, scheduled the whole nine, did pre-approve and everything of that nature. So what's getting ready to happen, you're going to see an influx of dealerships that are really spending more money, and they've already stated by 2019, and you won't hear this at most car dealership conventions, but by 2019, the amount of money spent on digital marketing in the car industry will double. Now, what that means is they're going to have people that understand how to maximize those leads and use those budgets for the best way. So you're going to start seeing more professionals. I just looked, and I'm not going to say which dealership it is, but there's a huge dealership. They have like, they're like between 1 and 10 as far as the largest dealerships in the country. And they just put an ad where they're hiring an e-commerce director for their dealership. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, you never would have saw a dealership at that magnitude with the title of e-commerce. They've already stated, now these are stats, these are not Rico, these are stats. The top 6 jobs for a person without a college graduate education, one of those is e-commerce director at a $200,000 a year salary. You're going to start seeing more e-commerce, trained e-commerce directors in car dealerships.
Well, we'll leave it there. I'm going to have you on live sooner or later in the studio and we'll see how those predictions and progression works out. Listen, Rico, I want to thank you for joining us on the show today. Continued success to you.
Appreciate that, Corey. You have a great day.
Well, that's our show for today. Find out more about how we're helping dealers become more progressive and profitable by visiting our website, mosleyautomotive.com. This has been another edition of Progressive Retail, exclusively on the CBT Automotive Network. I'm Corey Mosley, and I'll see you next week.